watching Markets at Noon on ET Now. Let's touch base with Anuj Khanna Sohum, the CMD and CEO of Affle India, which is soon going to be making a debut on D Street. In fact, it has made it, given the robust oversubscription to your IPO. A solid debut on the Lal Street was expected, of course. What do you attribute such an investor response to, especially given the way the markets are acting so choppy?
First and foremost, thank you to all the investors who have given their disproportionate support to Affle. I want to only say one thing at this moment to the investors who have made this happen for us. If you look at the history of Affle, the first investors in Affle were my family, my grandparents and their savings which were invested in the company, as well as the other management team members whose families have invested. And now this time, so many families in India, across different parts of India who have come together to invest in the IPO, and also to those who wanted to subscribe for it and didn't get allotment. My apologies to them, but this is a foundational moment where the good wishes and the hard-earned money of so many families has come to Affle, and I take responsibility, and I'm totally ready with my team to take it public. We are already public now, and the journey of building value for the shareholders has now started at a much larger scale as we expand our company globally. So I want to thank all the investors for their support.
Since you have no listed peers here, who do you think or who do you benchmark yourself against, and what distinguishes you in the mobile ad tech market, which has a strong growth prospect but is also expected to attract increasing competition from here on?
See, it is a very large opportunity. If you look at the foundations of our company and the business model and the business, it is actually directly linked to how all of us as individuals, as consumers, are using our smartphones so much in our lives. Instead of watching, TV, we are watching that on the phone. I mean, even the newspaper, we are rather reading it on the apps. Every single form of business, right from banking to media to entertainment, is all moving onto the mobile smartphone screens. And that as the context is the foundational sort of growth platform for our company. So in the last 5 years, we have already grown our revenues, by over 30 to 35% CAGR. Last year, our profit after tax is about 19%. And if the fundamentals of this business are so strong that if all of us continue our smartphone usage and making more and more payments through that for various aspects of our lifestyle and business, the advertisers would continue to be advertising here. It's a global opportunity. Our revenues in India were only about 40 to 45%. I mean, the 50 to 55% and more than that is coming from Southeast Asia, Middle East Africa, North America, Europe, Japan and Korea. Now you're right, there are no listed peers in India, but then there are other internet companies which are listed in India like InfoEdge and so many others. So one could take you from there that when they got listed, what kind of wealth creation and value creation they have had. And I drive inspiration from some of those companies. And in fact, today at the IPO ceremony, some of our investors from the US were talking about how some of the global companies which when they went IPO, they were not unicorns at that time, and they created wealth and value for the public shareholders from a very small stage to much later. And closer to home in India, household names like InfoEdge, Infosys, they were also not unicorns when they went public, and they created disproportionate wealth for their public shareholders and investors. And I drive inspiration from all of that, and that's how I would like to benchmark myself.
Last 5 years, your revenue has grown at 31%, PAT at 64. What are you aiming at when you look at the next 3 to 5 years for your vision?
Well, if it doesn't happen, I would be disappointed personally, but I do think that the market that we are in, the business opportunity that we are in is clearly set for this kind of growth. The number of consumers on smartphones across emerging markets in the world is growing disproportionately. The number of apps that the consumers are using on the phone and how much transaction they are doing and the value of the average transaction that we are doing through our phones is increasing. With all these dynamics increasing at an average over 30%, there is no reason why our company should not be following that kind of a trend line, and doing so maintaining our financial fundamentals, to achieve that. I see no reason of, not following through that trend. But like I said, we are a competent team working very hard. The key values being commitment, consistency, and profitable growth as the fundamentals of our company. You should see that from us being delivered credibly by the Affle team.
Thanks so much and congratulations on your listing day, of course. MSCI changes that we had told you some previews yesterday. That's